Hello and welcome to the Goofy Studio. I'm Lily, and a few years ago I agreed to paint a mini for someone. I decided to start with the base, shaping a small piece of expanding foam and then superglued some small rocks. I followed up with using watered down PVA glue to add sand over the still exposed base. Off camera, I did also add a couple of small skulls before priming it all black. And I must say that even at this point, without any additional colors, I already kinda liked it. But of course, more color was needed to really give this some depth, and the feeling of it actually being a part of nature somewhere. So I used the airbrush, adding different shades of brown, yellow, and even black. However, I'm not really used to painting with an airbrush, so this project was a challenge in more ways than just one. But starting with the base felt like a rather forgiving place to test out my so-called airbrush skills. But eventually, the time had come to start airbrushing the actual monolith. The requested color palette was for it to be silver or metallic with green details. I used the airbrush to paint the electrified gate thing. I'm not 100% sure what it's supposed to be, but it looks cool nonetheless. I like it. One thing you might not know about me is that my favorite color is purple. And even though it wasn't a part of the requested color palette, I wanted to, in a way, leave a little part of myself with this mini. This huge mini has so many tiny details, including alien text along the sides. Since I was worried that I would accidentally paint in the wrong place when tackling these texts, I actually decided to pull off the brush part of a paintbrush and just use the flat little handle to paint, or rather dab, I guess. Just dab, dab, dab. I took a small break from the monolith and returned to the base, finishing it up by dry brushing a few brighter colors to create even more detail, and also to paint the skulls, of course. To make sure that the cracks in the pillars really popped and looked intense, I dabbed the entire area with some water, just normal water, before adding some very bright colors in. This technique is so smooth when it works as intended, and in a way it almost looks magical. I did try this technique on other areas too, but I completely messed it up and ended up just going back to plain silver metallic instead. Oh well, it is a learning experience after all. At this point, it was time to focus on the details. And yes, if I would have had more time to dedicate to this project, I would have wanted to add way more than I actually ended up doing. Looking back though, I really do like how it turned out. And I am glad that I was offered the chance to paint and base an entire mini. Even though it was a very huge version of a mini. This was, as I said, one of those adventures that happened a couple of years ago, but I'm very glad to be able to share it with you now. And for you who watched all the way to this point in the video, I appreciate you so very much. And if you want to follow along for future little adventures, please remember to subscribe. Thank you very much for watching. Take care out there, and I hope to see you next time. And remember, if you can imagine it, you can create it, no matter how goofy it is.